Hey, welcome back to Bandwagon fans. This is Jeff, and tonight I'll be talking about an indie sci-fi thriller from Patriot Pictures, Synchronic. Synchronic stars Anthony Mackie as Steve, a paramedic diagnosed with brain cancer. When he and his partner Dennis, played by Jamie Dornan, begin to find packages of Synchronic, a new designer drug, with their patients, Steve heads out to buy all of the remaining packets, only to learn that the drug itself causes young people to disappear to another time. When Dennis's daughter Brianna goes missing, Steve realizes that she disappeared in time from the drug and sets out to find her and bring her home. Now, some of you may consider the plot synopsis I just gave a spoiler, but I do not. That is the basics of the plot, but doesn't get into the resolution. But be forewarned, I can't talk about this movie without discussing the resolution, so there will be spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, Synchronic gets 3 out of 10. Not worth your time or money. There are better movies out there right now. Now, the movie already has an uphill climb with me because it is a time travel movie, and I'm getting sick of those. The first act is a confusing mess, complete with jarring noises a la Tenet. As the movie tries to hold back on explaining what is going on or what the particular rules of this universe are. By the second act, things clean up quite a bit, the rules of the time travel are established, and the main conflict kicks in. By the third act, we have a traditional sci-fi movie with a rather predictable ending, and it's in that ending that the biggest problem with the movie lies. So the biggest problem with the movie is that it is one big magical Negro trope, despite having Anthony Mackie as the lead. The magical Negro trope, or as Spike Lee says, the super-duper magical Negro, is a variation of a disposable character whose only purpose is to satisfy the character development of a white, usually male protagonist. The magical Negro has no backstory, some sort of magical ability, is usually somewhat simple-minded, but has an unusually high degree of insight, and speaks in a sort of folk wisdom, is almost always an unrealistically good and kind soul, and once his purpose to the white character is complete, he dies. So, is Synchronic Steve a magical Negro? Let's look at the trope's key traits. No backstory. Now here, Steve does have a backstory with the loss of his family and emergence of their coffins during Katrina. However, the lack of a backstory serves a specific purpose for the trope. By removing any ties the magical Negro has to his life, it's easier to justify his sacrifice for the white character. The white character has a wife, child, children, a meaningful future. He has an intrinsic value and purpose. The magical Negro has no family, no value, and no purpose beyond his utility to the white character. Steve's backstory serves the same purpose. By showing that his family has died and his inability to maintain a relationship with a woman, it establishes that his only real tie is to his white friends, so of course, he would be willing to sacrifice for them. By magical ability. Now, Steve is not the only character able to travel in time. He is, however, the only adult able to do this. The movie explains that the drug acts on a certain part of the brain, and that Steve's brain is more like a young adult than a man his age should be. Hence, he is able to go back in time to save Brianna, but Dennis would not be able to. He's simple-minded. Now, Steve is not simple-minded. He does, however, speak a certain folk wisdom, shown in the scene where Dennis asks him to sing to a dying patient. Supporting character and inherent goodness. Now I'm going to address these two together. The magical Negro is always a supporting character to the white protagonist, but not here. And that is how this movie almost got away with this trope. Here, Steve is the protagonist, but that is ultimately irrelevant. And what's really pernicious about the magical Negro trope is that it reinforces a hierarchy of human value. Magical Negro stories told to a white audience says that the white person is the focus, has the inherent value, and that the black character only has value as it pertains to the white character. This relative value is reinforced in Synchronic by comparing the lifestyles of Steve and Dennis. Dennis is the upstanding family man. Steve is a fuckboy. He only has one-night stands, and the one woman it shows him with basically throws him out after the sex is over. This comparison shows that Dennis deserved to be saved, to be there with his family, but Steve is ultimately disposable, even when he is the star of the movie. Last trait, the magical Negro dies. And here's the ending of the movie. After a series of experiments, Steve is able to go back to the exact time and location that Brianna was lost, but he only has enough pills to get her back. He ends up lost in time in the middle of a Civil War battle. His purpose to the white character fulfilled, his story ends, and we end up with a magical Negro. It didn't have to go this way. The writer, Justin Benson, intentionally wrote this story and wrote himself into this corner. He also directed this along with Aaron Moorhead. They took pains to ensure that there were no more available pills for Steve. They decided to leave him without a family of his own. They decided to cast a white family in opposition to Steve. At any step of the way, they could have made better decisions to avoid this tired and harmful trope, but they didn't. Overall, 3 out of 10 for Synchronic. 2 big problems: a high concept that was too reliant on a catchy title, and a trope that has worn out its welcome. A couple tweaks, and this could have been a surprisingly solid film, but as it stands, it's a big miss. And you can follow me on Twitter at BBWFans, and at Bandwagon Fans on Facebook, Patreon, and of course, right here on YouTube. You can also catch quick reviews on TikTok at Bandwagon_fans. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and get on the bandwagon.